everyone, and welcome back into Holy Chaos on Tap. It's the podcast where family life is loud, emotions run deep, and holiness usually shows up right in the middle of the mess. I am your host, Nick, a Catholic dad who barely survived the holiday break and is emphatically glad that school is back in session. I love my family, love my kids, but Christmas break, when all the kids are home, typically stuck in the house because of the cold and just overstimulated with everything that's going on, it can be a bit dicey, to say the least. Here in the STL area, St. Louis, STL, St. Louis, it was actually pretty warm for Christmas with temps in the mid-70s before falling to 18 degrees 3 days later. It was that last week, though, heading into the new year when the kids were just bouncing off the walls, antagonizing each other, really just being kids. And my oldest, he's going to turn 6 this year, and then my twins will be 3 in February. And they were all just right at that perfect age of chaos, toys everywhere, just, antagonizing each other, wanting to play with different toys, taking other toys away. And there was at one point where my poor wife, she's a teacher, and she was trying to do some grading, doing some prep work in anticipation for the start of the new semester here in January, and the kids were just all over the place. It was about 25 to 30 degrees outside, and I told the kids, all right, everybody bundle up, get your clothes on, get your shoes on, we're going to the park. And we ended up walking to the park. We have a park that's pretty close to our house that we can walk to. So I loaded the twins up in the wagon, pushed them to the park, my oldest walking alongside, and spent some good time and good energy there as we walked to and from, and then let the kids just run around the playground for a bit and gave my wife a bit of a break so she could do some grading. Got some exercise, got some steps in, and then they burned off some energy at the playground, and my wife could do work uninterrupted. So win. Then on Sunday, for Mass, again, it seems to be a common theme when, I open up these podcasts, I talk about the Sunday adventures, but Sunday at Mass, once again, the twins were just all over the place. I really don't get it. We go every week and they just can't figure out how to behave. It's not like it's anything new. We go every Sunday and they still are just creating absolute chaos, and I don't know what to do. At one point they're running and yelling down 2 different aisles with my wife going one way and me the other way, and it's not like it was like really towards the front or anything. One podcast I think explained how our church is. It's like a crescent shape with different aisles, and we sit towards the back. So hopefully the entire church probably did see it, but it was just like my wife was going one way, I was going another way, and then usually after Mass we stay and socialize with other parents, but my wife just wanted to leave. She said she was mortified, and I laughed and I said, really, what's different from all the other days? So I think we have to change it up. We have to do something different when we go to Mass. So when you go to Mass with littles or with kids, and really, I guess if you go anywhere, you imagine this perfect scenario where the kids behave and you have a nice time. There's no screaming, there's no crying, everybody's behaved, there's no issues, no drama. But that never happens, at least not for us. So I'd be curious to find out what other people do as far as thoughts and ideas when you go to church. Next week, I'm actually doing something drastic. I am cutting the snacks, cutting the toys that we bring. I think they just have too much stuff. They just go there immediately. They're like snack. Immediately they start pulling something out to play with. And I told my wife, it's on me if it's a disaster. But no more snacks like we do. No more all these different toys and books that we bring. So I'll keep you posted and let you know next episode of how it went. But coming out of the holidays and starting a new year, though, I'm sure a lot of people had a lot of family time, or maybe you missed family time because of complications with family dynamic. Sometimes families can be complicated and, like I say, interesting. today, as we kick off the second half of our season, Raising Little Saints with TV Screens, we're talking about Encanto, a movie that somehow managed to sneak deep family theology into catchy songs and bright colors. And because Encanto isn't really about magic powers, it's about family wounds, expectations, silence, pressure, and the quiet hope that healing is possible even when no one knows where to start. So this episode is about learning how God heals the family you've been given, not the family you imagine. So let's dive into Encanto, healing the family you've been given. All right, so before we jump into episode 109, Encanto, healing the family you've been given, a few housekeeping items I want to get out of the way right off the gate. First off, thank you for tuning in, especially if you're a repeat listener and you keep coming back and tuning into the podcast. Really appreciate it. You can support the show 3 very easy ways. 1, follow Holy Chaos on Tap on Instagram, YouTube. Each like or comment expands our dad network, so we all know we're not in this parenting chaos alone. Even if it's just a thumbs up or a cheers in the comment section, it goes a long way. Share the content with other dads. You can either tag them in the video or reel or share an episode with them. And then you can also buy me a coffee through my website, holychaosontap.com. You can send me $1, $5, $10, or whatever you want to do to either buy me a coffee or a bottle of wine. Really appreciate it. I don't have Patreon or any hidden content that is exclusive to memberships. You get all of me for free. But if you feel inclined to share a drink with me, you can via holychaosontap.com. So, all right. Now, Encanto, healing the family you have been given. It's funny, I feel like every family assigns roles, whether subconsciously or on purpose. Everybody has a role within the family. The other day, while driving in the car, we naturally started talking about who is the funniest in the family. And my oldest said mom, and my youngest said his older brother. But the idea of who has the role as the family comedian, it isn't really a designated assignment. But I'm sure each family has a sense of who is the funny one. I mean, we all know it's really me. the responsible one, who's the responsible one, the strong one, the quiet one, the fixer, the peacemaker, the one who never needs help or always needs help, the one who leads prayers, the one who sets the table, and the one who magically disappears when it's time to clean up. Those roles don't come from nowhere. They usually form because of need or fear or survival. And once you're assigned a role, it sticks. You don't get praised for doing your assigned role because it becomes expected. You're expected to just do that. If you're the one that always empties the dishwasher, you're the one that always takes the trash out, you're the one that cleans, you're the one that sets the table, you're the funny one, whatever. The responsible one. It's just that's who we are. That's what you do. It's expected that you do those things. You get praised for being useful. Encanto understands this better than most adult movies. One of the interesting things about Encanto, there's not really a bad guy or a villain. Usually in the beginning of a movie, that villain or bad guy is brought in early, and then the hero has to go on their hero quest to defeat the bad person. And that's not really the case in Encanto. If you look at like other Disney movies, in Moana, there's Taka, Lion King, Scar, Cars, there's Chick Hicks. But in Encanto, there's no evil person, there's no evil force, no bad guy to defeat, just people who were hurt and learned how to survive. And some might say Abuela, the grandmother, is the villain, but she really isn't a villain. She's afraid. She's lost everything once, and promised herself it would never happen again. If anything, she's parenting out of fear, and that's something that we've seen in other episodes I've done about the dangers of parenting out of fear. She builds control out of love, her expectations out of fear, perfection out of trauma, And the rest of the family, they just kind of respond the only way they know how to. They perform, they stay silent, they hide their cracks, they hide the cracks of the family, they carry burdens that they never asked for. And that's not fantasy, that's really family life. And how many of us just go through the day performing, staying silent while we carry burdens or carry our cross? And I know there are some days when I'm just going through the motions and trying my best to not let the stress or anxiety or unhappiness that I might be feeling throughout the day come through. I put on a brave face. I think we all do it. But again, I think that's just family life sometimes. The spiritual truth in Encanto, though, puts it right in front of us. God doesn't heal families by removing all the cracks. He heals families by letting light in through those cracks. St. Paul says it plainly. 2 Corinthians 12:9. Power is made perfect in weakness. Perfection blocks grace. There's a saying I came across the other day, and I tried to find the source for it. However, I spent maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes on Google trying to figure out if this was an actual quote from an actual person. But I feel there's a lot of different people that said somewhat the same thing, and it has morphed into a saying. Essentially, it is saying this: the devil doesn't want you to suffer. In suffering, we find Christ. He wants you comfortable. That's such a powerful thought and idea, because I can relate to that too, because I know when life is good, when life is comfortable, it can be too easy to fall out of prayer. But you bet when life gets tough, complicated, hard, the first thing a lot of us do is turn to God. So again, think about 2 Corinthians 12-9. Power is made perfect in weakness. Perfection blocks grace. Silence blocks healing. And performance delays freedom. So grace moves where honesty lives. And that's why Mirabel, the one without a gift, is actually the most powerful person in the house, because she sees truth and she's willing to name it. Mirabel technically doesn't fix the family, and she really doesn't save anyone from doom. What Mirabel does is she listens. She notices. She names what everyone else avoids. She talks about Bruno when nobody else wants to. And what's funny is in this movie, the thing nobody wants to talk about, the thing they fear, is Bruno. They avoid it. We heard that name before. And it was in episode 104. We talked about Luca and finding friendship, freedom, and courage. Luca and Alberto found courage by saying, Silencio Bruno. Because in that movie, fear had a name, and it was Bruno. And I mentioned in that episode, the phrase Silencio Bruno was like saying, get back, Satan. Fear has no place with God, because with God, you can conquer fear. Mirabel, instead of saying Silencio Bruno, silence fear, you don't control me, she does the opposite. She says, hey, what is fear? And why are we afraid of it? Let's confront it. Let's hit it head on. Bruno, of course, was her uncle, who seemed to predict doom and gloom for everyone. So people feared Bruno. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Encanto. While everyone else in the family chose to ignore the warnings or the cracks because they didn't want to face fear, Mirabel is the one who asks, why are we pretending everything is fine? And families don't always like that person, because facing fear and truth feels dangerous when your system is built on silence. People like the people that empty the dishwasher or do the cleaning or is the funny one. You know, they stick to their very clean, perfect, don't rock the boat type of roles within the family. But if you're a direct person, you want to conquer fear, you want to seek truth, that can be scary. Because facing fear and truth feels dangerous when the system is built on silence. But truth spoken with love is where healing begins. Jesus doesn't heal by pretending wounds don't exist. He heals by touching them. Psalm 147:3 tells us exactly that. He heals the brokenhearted. Not the perfect, not the polished, the broken. So here's a hard question for you, dads and parents out there that are listening. What role in your family did you inherit? Are you the strong one who never admits weakness? Are you the provider who hides exhaustion? The fixer who avoids feelings? The peacemaker who swallows truth? Those roles didn't come from nowhere. They probably came from love mixed with fear. I love the scene in the movie when Mirabelle starts on her quest to face fear and to find out about the cracks in the family. She talks to her sister Luisa, the strong one, literally the strong one. She can lift anything. She's like very powerful and fixes everything in the town, moving buildings, and the one who never admits weakness or fear. Also, she's just the strong one. Again, this comes from love, her not wanting to admit the pressure she is under. The fact that she is feeling weak is the worst thing for her right now. And then we get the classic Disney type of song and dance, and Luisa going through the pressure and stress she is under. She finally admits her weakness, and her weakness is actually she's starting to feel weak, and she gives Mirabelle a big hug. A lot of how the family functions comes from Abuela and how she parents, and the family inherited those traits. But the good news is this: you're not required to pass down everything that you inherited from your parents. You can honor your parents without repeating their wounds or the things that they did or that you saw while you were growing up. It's the idea sort of the generational sin, the pattern of negative behaviors or dysfunction that can repeat across generations. It's not like a direct punishment passed down over time, but instead learned behavior. It's broken systems and not being able to break the cycle, but through God, the light can shine through those cracks in the family foundation. Colossians 3:13 says, "Bear with one another and forgive one another." Forgiveness doesn't mean pretending nothing hurt. It means choosing mercy over control. That's how cycles end. I know I have a hard time with that. As an Italian, holding on to things is part of my DNA. Multiple decades have been lost with family because of various family issues. For me, I often look back at the lost time and missed time with family members because of arguments or misunderstandings, and most importantly, lack of forgiveness and bitterness. It's a struggle for me to this day, forgiveness and not being bitter. It's what I learned growing up from those adults around me. Personally, I have to remind myself to move on, forgive, don't hold grudges. That's the Irish side of me, the nice side. I'm at this constant struggle internally between the Irish and the Italian side. But seriously, that is the best way to break the cycle, to change how my kids grow up and not experience what I did growing up in terms of missed family time with extended family members, with like aunts and uncles, grandparents, cousins, just because you had an argument one time or you had a disagreement one time. It's just like forgive it and forgive and move on. And that's how you break out of the cycle from those learned traits. In Encanto, the house doesn't fall apart because of truth or being honest with each other. It falls apart because truth was ignored too long, and they didn't confront their fears of being truthful and honest fast enough. And I say house, and if you're listening and you can't see me, I'm putting house in quotations, because while literally the house they lived in did fall apart, so did their family. But notice this: the family doesn't rebuild it with magic. Again, I'm giving a lot of spoilers away if you haven't seen Encanto, but the whole family ended up losing all their magic. But they rebuilt the house together without magic, without gifts, no perfection, just relationship with each other, with love. That's how God rebuilds families, not with instant fixes, but with humility, listening, and love. In this life, you get to choose a lot of things. You can choose your friends. You can choose the types of shows you watch. You can choose the podcasts you want to listen to, the activities we participate in. Life is full of endless choices, but we can't choose our family. It's the old saying, you can choose your friends, you can't choose your family. We are born into them, and when families have issues or cracks, healing families is slow work. It looks like one honest conversation, one apology, one moment of choosing mercy, one act of presence, one crack that finally lets some light in, one step forward at a time. But you have to take that first step. Isaiah 61:1 speaks straight to this. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted. Binding wounds takes time, but it leads to freedom. So here's your invitation this week. If you are one who has a family with a few cracks or a broken family, you don't have to fix your family in 30 minutes. It's like those DIY shows where they completely change a room or a house for the show and it only took 30 minutes, but in reality it took weeks or months. That's why I have a hard time watching those shows in relation to my own DIY projects. I want them done now in 30 minutes, instant gratification. But that's not life. And that's not reality, even though it's called reality TV. The same can be said for fixing your family. You don't have to confront everything all at once. And you certainly don't have to heal generations overnight. Just take one small step forward. One small step toward honesty and mercy, one conversation, one apology, one moment of compassion, one release of control, one text. That's all it takes. God heals families the same way he heals hearts, slowly, gently, faithfully. Psalm 147:3, he heals the brokenhearted. So here is my closing prayer for you. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. May God bring light into your cracks. May he soften what's been hardened, and may he heal the family you've been given, including you. Amen. Thanks again for listening this week and tuning in each and every week. Really appreciate it. And again, you can follow Holy Chaos on Tap on Instagram and on YouTube. Each like, each comment expands our dad network, so we all know we're not alone in this parenting chaos world that we live in. Even if it's a thumbs up, a cheers, or a heck yeah, those comments and likes go a long way. Share the content with other dads. You can either tag them in a video or reel or share an episode with them. And now you can buy me a coffee too through my website, Holy Chaos on Tap. You can send me $1, $5, $10, whatever you want to do to buy me a coffee or a bottle of wine. I don't have Patreon or hidden content that is exclusive to membership. You get all of me free, and there's nothing hidden behind any type of paywall. So again, appreciate you tuning in, and until next time, cheers.